Bit of a different one today. A lot of you have asked about this. I'm going to be talking about workwear, and for once this is probably one of the only videos on YouTube about workwear where it's not sponsored by anyone. Hiya folks, and welcome back to the show. This is one of those topics that I don't feel in any way kind of qualified to talk about because there's only one or two brands of workwear that I generally wear, and I normally just buy the cheapest. As I say, I'm not sponsored by anyone, so I really couldn't give a damn what brand of clothing you use. I happen to be wearing Scruffs at the minute, but this is actually probably my least favourite pair of work pants, so I'm certainly not wearing these to endorse them. But as I say, it is a topic that's come up a lot on the channel where you've asked about what pants I'm wearing, boots, shirt, jacket, gloves, what gloves I prefer and all that sort of thing. And I'll try and make this as quick and brief as possible. Let me just get rid of these gloves temporarily. We'll come back to gloves because gloves is quite a big topic in its own right. But please don't judge. I am not, and I have never been a brand snob. I just go for whatever's cheap and does the job. And if it keeps doing the job, I'll keep on buying that particular product. One of which is these. These are just sight work boots and steel toe cap. The thing I like about them is that they just slip on and off really easily. These are ancient, but because I'm doing a lot of like demolition work and stuff at the minute, I'm not wearing good new boots because they just get absolutely trashed when you're doing demolition work. And yeah, so I've got these. They are probably destined for the bin. I mean, the cheapest chips, I can't remember how much those were. I'll put on the screen. But yeah, I've got a new pair of them. I actually have a pair that I wear for going out because I find that they're quite comfortable. If I'm doing a lot of walking, like, you know, if you're walking to town and back or something like that, they're not as comfortable unless you've got like thick socks and things like that. I do generally always put insoles into my boots. It just makes them more comfortable. But yeah, these are absolutely great. They're just Screwfix's own sight boots. Then we get on to the dreaded subject of work pants. Oh man, why does it so often seem like these have been designed by people who have never done a day's graft in their life? So again, let me take my jacket off so you can actually see the pants that I'm wearing. These, as I say, these are Scruffs, which is a bit posh for me. Normally I just wear the Screwfix own sight brand of pants and they seem to be absolutely fine. There's a couple of key things, and there's a couple of key things in the design of these that they've just got completely wrong. But there's a few things I like as well, I suppose. First of all, I always wear knee pads in the pants. So these are removable. You've got a little kind of thing on here and you can remove the knee pad section and you can replace that. I just take this out when I'm putting them in the wash and then I put them back in. It's a little bit of a pain in the neck getting this in. That you need to make sure the pad is tight, otherwise it flops around and you end up not kneeling on it. But yeah, knee pads, absolutely essential for any tradesperson, I would say. I've already had one knee operation. I don't want to go through that again. And then we work our way up. We've got a pocket here. I have no idea what that would be used for. And then around here, I do have a couple of like pockets here that I use for like a knife and my multi-tool. I always carry a multi-tool everywhere. That's in this pocket. So yeah, it's quite nice to have little pockets there. And then we'll start getting into like the more problematic bits. I'll come to the pockets in a minute. So we're flappy pockets here. These are really useful. I keep always like a bandana or a rag or something. You're always going to need that sort of thing. You then got an extra front pocket there, and then I've got a pocket here. I keep my mobile phone in like a protective pocket thing. So that's kind of fine, lives in there. But then you run into the pencil pocket. Having pencils, especially doing joinery and woodwork and that sort of thing, it's an absolute must. But the problem is that these are the pockets are too deep. So you're having to like kind of fiddle around to get into here. I've just got a couple of Sharpies in here. So, no, that's not even a Sharpie. You see, I can't get to it because the pen pockets are too deep. Like this one, is that a little bit, that's a little bit shallower because of the kind of cut there. But it's just, If you're going to have pen pockets, make sure that your pens actually slightly stick out so you can grab them. These are just impractically deep. Your pens just get lost in them. But what I do like is that they're segregated pen pockets. So I've got 3 pen pockets there, and I'm pretty sure on the new design of sight pants, that's kind of morphed into a single pocket, more like that. And that's a pain in the backside because all of your pens and pencils just fall to the bottom of the pocket sideways and they all get kind of stuck in a jumbled up mess at the bottom. So it is nice having the segregated pen pockets, definitely. I always have a couple of Carpenter's pencils, a couple of Sharpies, just like a ballpoint pen if you need to like write stuff down, signing stuff. And I've also got a couple of normal pencils as well. That's always handy. But yeah, I don't like the fact that these pockets here are so deep. I mean, I know you can use them for tools and other things like that, but I use them for pens and they're too deep. We've then got various like hooks and like I've got a Velcro bit here that I guess you could attach something onto. It's nice if you've got a hammer loop. I haven't got, well, I suppose, yeah, okay, it does have a hammer loop on the side there. That's quite handy. So, yeah, I guess that can... I've never actually used that. I didn't notice it was there before. But yeah, the hammer loop's really handy, so make sure you've got one of them. I almost never use the back pockets because I just end up sitting on them. But the fundamental, well, 2 fundamental flaws with these pants. First of all, for blokes, the zipper doesn't go low enough, and that causes problems for blokes. I'm sure you're aware of the kind of problems that causes. And these pockets here, they're kind of at the front rather than at the side. And I hate that. It's horrible because basically when you're doing any kind of demolition work, because these flaps no longer cover these pockets just fill up with rubble all the time. So try and find pants where this flappy bit covers this pocket, or this pocket should be a bit further round to the side. For my preference anyway. Maybe you like it with the pockets right at the front like that, but I think it's just impractical. It's weird. It's really uncomfortable as well. So yeah, that to me is a fundamental design flaw with this particular design of pants, but as I say, I'm no expert on the subject. Normally I just go for the cheapest I can find. Then jacket wise, I've just got this again. It's just a sight. I can't remember the name of this design of jacket, but it's just kind of a fleece and it's really comfortable and it does what I need it to do. You know, I mean, it's getting a bit mucky and old now, but you know, my keys live in there and it's got a couple of inside pockets, which I must admit I hardly ever use, but it just keeps you a little bit warmer in the winter, and then once you've warmed up, it comes off. But that's all I need from a jacket, really. It's a glorified fleece, but a little bit more heavy duty, basically. In terms of tops, I just wear black polo tops. The main reason I wear a polo top is because it gives me a convenient place to clip on my microphone. T-shirts and microphones are always a little bit problematic. Polo tops are much easier for me, so entirely personal preference there. Again, I think these are Screwfix own site brand, so not sponsored, it's just where I happen to buy the majority of my clothing. Then we get on to the all-important topic of work gloves, and I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert on this subject, but I have worn pretty much every type of work glove out there, and I've kind of got it narrowed down to this selection that we use on a fairly regular basis, or most of them. I'll go through all of them so you know, because there's different situations that I wear different types of gloves. I'm actually going to start in the middle here, kind of forget about those for the minute, because these are probably my go-tos that I use most of the time for pretty much everything. These are good for kind of light duty work, but you've got the rubber grips. The rubber grips makes life so much easier just for picking things up, especially if you're picking up a lot of like boards, like flat goods, melamine, flat pack furniture, anything like that. Anything with rubber grips is absolutely great. But I find these are really comfortable. You can get the same kind of design in, well, these ones are Sight, so Screwfix, but Wix do very similar ones as well, and both seem pretty much identical to me. Very comfortable. I find my hands don't sweat too much in them either. So great general purpose gloves, I find. And then, I don't know, would you just call these gardening gloves or general work gloves? I find these, like for moving rubble, any really heavy duty work, you just can't beat a pair of leather gloves like this. I don't know, are they even real leather? I don't know what they're made of. Typical kind of leather gardening gloves, but for really heavy duty stuff, as I say, demolition work, moving blocks and bricks around and stuff like that, these just wear out far too quickly for any kind of work like that. These seem to last much, much longer. Obviously, they're not as comfortable and you don't have the grippy bits on them, but they just last forever. Well, kind of. They do wear out eventually, but not as quickly as those. Then we've got, I'll quickly show you these ones. These are quite nice. I think, again, probably from Wix. The nice thing about these is that they're kind of, these have been used for concrete and they're absolutely trashed. But they're kind of grippy and they're nice and warm and stuff, but your hands can breathe a bit more because the grips are kind of intermingled with the fabric, if that makes sense. Whereas these, your hands can sweat a little bit in them. It's not a terrible problem, but there are other types of gloves where your hands will sweat much more. I'll talk about that in a bit. But these ones, they're very comfortable, general purpose, but they do tend to wear through quite quickly. That's the only thing. But yeah, they're just nice. If you have problems with sweaty hands and stuff like that, these work really well. Back in the day of doing a lot of kind of joinery work and things like that, and customer work, again, flat pack furniture and stuff, man, wear gloves when you're doing flat packs. Some of the edges of carcasses and things can be razor sharp. You let them run through your fingers and suddenly you've cut yourself and you're getting blood everywhere. Not ideal. These are Stanley gripper gloves and I really like these. I never really had any problems with my hands sweating in them, and I mean, these are ancient. They should probably go in the bin. But when they're brand new, they're really, really grippy and very, very comfortable, very thin. So they're no good for heavy duty work or anything like that. They'll wear through far too quickly. But for kind of fairly light duty work where you need to have a grip on things, or you just maybe want a little bit of extra warmth in your fingers, these work really, really well. And then we've also got these kind of grippy gloves as well. Again, what are these? These are sight as well, surprise, surprise. These, they're all right, but your hands tend to sweat in them quite a lot because the rubber comes much, much further round, almost to the top of the fingers on this kind of designer gloves. So again, if you're going to be wearing them for a long period of time, you might find that your hands sweat in them and then they start to smell and all sorts of things. And also, they're not particularly hard wearing, so these are going to get worn through pretty quickly. No good for general building work or anything like that. And also on a similar subject, just trying these out. My wife's just bought a pair of these, some Maxi Flex. And yeah, similar design to that. Again, we'll see how we get on. No kind of complaints so far. But again, you've got the rubber on them, which is great for grippiness, but it also means that your hands can sweat in them. So yeah, make of that what you will. And then probably finally, if you're working out in the cold, oh man, these are amazing. These are like thermally lined gloves and they are lovely. They're so warm. Can't remember, I think these were a present, but you can probably get these off Amazon or something. I'm not sure what that brand is, you tell me. But as I say, they've just got this fleecy inner, and because of that, your hands don't sweat too much in them, even though they're completely rubber, top and bottom. But yeah, if you're doing work outside in the cold and you want to be able to actually grip things, these are just lovely. They're so comfortable. Oh man, get me fingers in them. Oh. I think the only thing with these is that you need to watch when you pull your fingers out that you don't pull the inner out with them, so you need to be quite careful to kind of pull them by the fingers to take them back off, otherwise the kind of the fleece comes out with them. But anyway, yeah, they're really comfortable as well. So obviously there's going to be types of gloves here that I haven't talked about, you know, specialist gloves if you're dealing with chemicals and paints and things like that, but I don't wear those very often. And there's bound to be brands of gloves here that I've missed. So do post in the comments below what your favourite types of gloves are, or if you've got a particular brand that you like to use, pop that in the comments as well. As I say, I'm not tied to any brand. This is just what I use, but I find, generally speaking, 90% of the time I'm using those. And I think that covers pretty much everything. As I say, as you've probably guessed, I'm not a brand snob. And by the way, that's what happens when you kneel on construction adhesive, which I did when these pants were brand new, like an absolute genius. But yeah, if you have worn particular brands of clothing that you think are far superior to everything else, do post it down in the comments below. But I just find like the unbranded, or like the site Screwfix own stuff, I don't know what Toolstation's own brand is, but I find that stuff for the sort of work I do is absolutely fine. Oh, and I forgot to mention my cap. I've got normal caps and I've got a bump cap, kind of protective cap, which I wear, well, I should wear more often. I should probably have it here, but I don't. But the reason for that is because I am follically challenged, and that means that when you bash your head on something, you know about it. And especially when you're doing work like this, you need to make sure that you're protecting your bonds. When there's no hair there to protect your head, man, do you feel it when you bash your head off something. We'll leave it there, folks. I'm getting absolutely blinded by the sun there. It's quite nice, actually. Might just chill out for a bit. As I say, if you think I've missed anything out, please pop it down in the comments below. For now, folks, as per usual, look after each other, be nice to one another. We shall see you next time. Tatty bye.